Welcome to Be Honest podcast with Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry, where we hold honest conversations about life, relationships, challenges, and everything in between, with unfiltered discussions with real people, offering their authentic stories, experiences, and perspectives. No topic is off limits and no story is too small. Join us on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM.
Greetings, listeners around the world. Welcome to Be Honest podcast with Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry. Thank you for joining us on United Public Radio 107.7 in the Big Easy, New Orleans. Today's topic is about defeating procrastination, where taking action today becomes tomorrow's triumph. More simply put, conquer tomorrow today. In our seemingly fast-paced world, we tend to focus more on end results, dancing between procrastination and a relentless pursuit of outcomes. What exactly leads us to teeter on the brink of failure before making decisions and taking action? In other words, why do we procrastinate? Think about standing on the edge of a cliff. The water represents the task at hand, the anticipation of diving into the unknown, perhaps because of uncertainty, fear, or the perceived depth of the challenge. This may cause us to hesitate, just as we may freeze in hesitation, delaying the ultimate plunge. Below, procrastinating is believed to stem from a reluctance to fully engage in a task. This is why we often defer our response and postpone getting the task done. In a more realistic perspective, procrastinating is a pattern of behavior linked to the flight response with the fight or flight mechanism. If a person perceives a task as a threat, such as if we have a fear of failure, we have perfectionism or other stressors, our flight response may be triggered. This may manifest this response to result in us avoiding our perceived threat, leading us to procrastinate as a means of justifying not having to face this challenging task. While the flight response is generally designed for survival, activation may also occur inappropriately in situations just so we can avoid the task. In other words, we're always going to maybe to try to delay the unavoidable.
Delaying the unavoidable. Well, Dr. Sherry, you were procrastinating to say the word procrastination.
Yeah, it's the perfectionism.
Is perfectionism kicking in?
It is.
Yes, we're talking about procrastination today. Well, can we think of a time, perhaps very recent, that we have succumbed to procrastination? Does this mere thought trigger an inner response? While the goal of this podcast is not to ask you to relieve your experience, sometimes it can be pretty painful. Understanding triggers and responses surrounding putting things off is pertinent to making positive changes. Yet, before addressing an approach to deal with procrastination, understanding why we delay the inevitable is of equal importance. In brief, a lack of motivation, fear of failure, perfectionism that we love so much, at least I do. Low self esteem, guilty of that. I also do have low self esteem once in a while.
Many of us do.
Impaired is the executive functions, guilty as charged. That's true too.
Uh-oh.
Cognitive distortions. Oh my God, it's all me. I just diagnose myself with all of these things. Temporal discounting, task aversion, now decisional procrastination. And what is that? We're going to talk about it. Or simply feeling overwhelmed are psychological factors related to procrastination. While physical factors such as fatigue or lack of energy, poor health, or discomfort may also impact our ability to start and maintain our tasks, right? Well, moreover, social factors such as peer pressure, fear of judgment, desire for approval, and lack of accountability are dynamics that may hinder our motivation. thus increasing the tendency to procrastinate in group settings. At times, a combination of these psychosocial elements may be at play when group with tasks, and worrying about the outcome clouds the ability to perceive and embrace the process. Do any of these factors resonate with reasons you may have or still postpone tasks?
Yes. There's a quote out there: procrastination is the enemy of success.
Oi, we hate procrastination. I hate procrastination. Nevertheless, I engage in this very unpleasant tasks quite
Yeah.
often.
Constantly convincing ourselves that we're actually succeeding at procrastinating.
We're succeeding at the procrastination. That's right. At least something we're succeeding at, right?
What a delusion. What a delusion. Procrastination generally offers us a sense of temporary relief, but the accumulating stress from not attempting the task often leads to more significant and prolonged negative impacts on our well being. Continuously avoiding tasks, like I do sometimes, oftentimes, many times, often results in like poor stress management over time. What do you think?
Well, you threw that question at me like
Heightened stress?
I'm the
Does
least
heightened stress you out?
procrastinating person in the world. Yeah, that just avoiding the tasks creates the crazy sense of stress for me as well. Stress itself can create this terrible uh, inability to uh, manage your tasks, right? Or even fulfill anything in your life, right? The things are falling off your hands. But the stress that is coming from procrastinating is even worse.
Absolutely, because heightened stress it can decrease productivity, cause poor performance, and miss deadlines ultimately. As a result, personal, professional, or social relationships may get strained, while feelings of regret and guilt usually affect us emotionally. Prolonged negative emotions such as chronic stress, anxiety, and depression, all of these may have adverse effects on our actual physical body. Health issues like cardiovascular problems, weakened immune function, or digestive issues may be related to our stress hormones when they're elevated all the time. Lifestyle choices may also be influenced by our poor emotional regulation, leading to unhealthy habits such as poor diet, inadequate sleep, or a lack of exercise. Sometimes that's a part of procrastination. We choose to procrastinate exercise. Put simply, while the tendency to procrastinate presents an illusion of momentary relief, such behavior contributes to psychological and physiological triggers for a short term gain, resulting in long term pain.
Oh my God, that the procrastination presents the illusion of momentary relief. And I have to say that for me, I'm like the master of procrastination. I think I invented that word, that concept. And I hate that. I have to always stay on task. I have to, because as human beings, right, we are so wanting the comfort in our lives. So it's very difficult to get out of the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But if we want something really badly, we're going to get up and do it. And sometimes that we wait until the very last moment to have the adrenaline going when the deadlines are falling on your head all the time, then we start doing something. So, but that is not a great approach. And I remember that myself, I would just wait for that time because it would give me the adrenaline rush. With adrenaline, I do everything so fast, you know. But it is so good to also remember that procrastination is dynamic. While this common human behavior may have a certain inherent feature, for example, the impulsivity or self control, everyone's experience will differ in relation to their personality traits, motivation, self discipline, and external circumstances. Some may struggle with chronic procrastination, whereas others experience avoiding or delaying tasks intermittently in specific situations. So, because procrastinating is not strictly inherent or static, we can create strategies and rewire habits to mitigate postponing tasks. And we as humans are completely capable of doing that. So, Let's revisit the body of water mentioned earlier. Rather than think of jumping off of the cliff this time, think of procrastination as building a sturdy bridge over a challenging river. The effort used to develop positive habits and effective strategies relate to laying a new piece of the bridge, making the journey across tasks more manageable. With consistent time and dedication, the bridge becomes a dependable pathway, thereby decreasing the chance of getting stuck on the shores of procrastination. And we have a saying, I will cross that bridge when I come to it. I love this saying because while I don't want to be worried about certain things in my life, right? I think that I will be getting to it in time and crossing that bridge later or whatever task that I may have in hand. However, I have to create the strategies how to cross that bridge ahead of time. And even in the back of my mind, even subconsciously, I think of the strategies how to cross that bridge when I come to it. So, not necessarily that we have to think so strategically about how to cross that bridge. We nevertheless have to have that task at hand. We have to think about it and not only think, but actually also get into action.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to take the action to actually build the bridge before, we can come to a bridge. But in addition, coming to the bridge, we are often responsible for actually building the bridge. Well,
That's
let's
right.
right. Well, if we take a moment to drift away from the metaphorical shoreline that we have introduced in this conversation, which is beautiful, we can discuss the actual strategies and habits that help alleviate our tendency to procrastinate. Breaking tasks into smaller, achievable steps allow us to appear more tasks to appear more manageable, clearly defining what we need to get things accomplished. Setting deadlines, prioritizing tasks, these things contribute to time management techniques, and it helps us structure our routines. With this in mind, think of focusing on what's most important first. Create a to do list, take action. Using positive reinforcement by rewarding yourself when completing tasks, as well as eliminating distractions. That's a big one for me. Got some little bitty kids running around. Beautiful distractions. Eliminating distractions is a step in the direction of it allows us to seek accountability. It's stay on track towards positive results and long-term change. Procrastination is a pattern of behavior, so patterns can be changed. Together, these strategies they can assist us in building new habits on a journey of overcoming procrastinating, involving a combination of self-awareness, discipline, and implementing effective time management approaches.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is so sometimes difficult to um, avoid those distractions because those things are unavoidable. A lot of the times we have children, we have different projects, we have jobs, families, extended families, and friends that all require our attention. So we engage into the activities that feel more pleasant to us. So
Absolutely. Sometimes we even have habits, right? We'll start cleaning. Oh, I think I better clean the table
You,
again.
you, you.
Like
Yeah, I saw your house. It's completely like spotless. And having kids, it's just absolutely impossible to have a spotless house like yours. And nevertheless, you are not even stressed out about it because when I saw it, okay, like I didn't tell you that. Oh, I'm gonna look at the your house, right? I'm gonna pop
the
in and
background.
just like to look. And my God, I see that your house is spotless even with the kids, like, did you have kids at all? Like everything is absolutely in their own places. So, but for you, it's easy that I've noticed that, and you have to have it done in order to think straight, to attack the tasks at hand, right? So for you, that's probably easier. Otherwise, I would be like so stressed out all the time. So
You're
yeah,
also
those
very clean.
distractions.
What are you talking about? You're also quite organized and clean. I think you're just more go with the flow kind of. You adapt to the flow of life, which I think is a you enjoy the ride, which is beautiful. I'm always trying to take the wheel and have to
Oh
remind
yeah, enjoy the ride. I'm Taurus. What are you talking about? I'm Taurus. I enjoy the ride. I like my
there you
ride
go.
really pleasant and comfortable. So that is why our procrastination becomes habitual. So breaking this habit often entails patience and consciously adopting new behaviors, applying new strategies, and developing a positive mindset toward undertakings. So, changing behavioral patterns may seem like a painful or near impossible endeavor. It can quite often that it happens, and even we, most of us, or even all of us, we have these moments in our life, and we can't avoid it. But nevertheless, like the Audrey Hepburn said, nothing is impossible. The world itself says impossible.
That's right. It
I
does.
love her. I love Audrey
Hmm.
Hepburn. So,
Yes.
yes, overcoming
Icon.
procrastination is possible when shifting our focus from what appears to be an overwhelming outcome of a manageable process. Breaking tasks into smaller steps, setting realistic goals, creating structured schedules may open ways to cultivate new habits that prioritize progress. And I know that with myself that you have like also like you said you have to start eating the elephant like what did you say with a
How
spoon,
do you eat an
right? How
elephant?
do
It's
you eat
one
the
path
elephant with a
down
spoon?
sweet. Yes. One bite at a time, one
What?
spoon at a time.
That will be forever engraved in my mind, how to eat elephant.
Fantastic.
Oh my god, such a carnivore to eat an elephant.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
never suggesting to eat an elephant, but it's just a massive thing to think. Because usually people refer to the pink elephant in the room or the white elephant, whatever color elephant we want to put on the display of the
Poor
mental.
elephants.
There's so
Why is
we
that metaphor?
perhaps we can say a a giant piece of pizza. I don't know.
No, 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 pizza. For some of us, procrastination is to actually sit down and devour the whole pizza watching Netflix. So it's just not the elephant. Elephant is good. We never eat elephant meat. So this is good. How do we eat an elephant in
One bite
regard
at
of
a
the
time.
tasks? So we also have to address psychological factors like fear of failure or perfectionism. That could be the key to taking a proactive attitude about modifying the impact of procrastination.
Hmm.
So, while eating an elephant could be an interesting task to devour it whole and thus becoming a perfectionist, how to do it, my understanding is that you are absolutely right, and we have to arm ourselves with a spoon or with spoons in a plural form and actually attack that poor elephant and let it be a metaphorical elephant,
Let's
Sherry.
think of a snake in the wild, okay? Like generally a snake instinctually will not ever try to eat something that's bigger than itself. So it's always going to seek out prey. I know, here I am going entering the twilight zone again.
Twilight. Well,
But
yeah, the snake, exactly. Why do
it's
we as humans
manageable.
want to eat an elephant, right?
Well, I mean, let's metaphorically keep the elephant like let's always think of eating an elephant bite by bite metaphorically only. I don't ever. There's no indication of ever suggesting that we ever harm any animal to eat it one bite at a time. So let's clear that up for all future times we reference that.
Brian Tracy, he wrote an amazing book, Eat That Frog. So I don't understand why we talk about elephants or frogs. We here in the West do not necessarily eat frogs, but in order to
Actually,
avoid
we do in the
procrastination,
South. We go actually hunt for them here down in the swamps of New Orleans or all around the southern side here of the swamps and bayous. We
oh,
hunt them and we eat frog legs because it's
you
also
hunt frogs? Do they run
bullfrog.
away? Oh, the bullfrogs,
You blind
yes.
them with a light usually, and you catch them, and you can usually like for the size of your arm. Where's my arm? They're very long.
Seriously, it
Well,
is this big.
that's the delicacy of frog legs. It's a common thing to be eaten here, which I also think it's very common. I want to say in French cuisine, which is part of the Creole cuisine.
How interesting. I
We do eat
remember I
frogs.
Yeah, and that is very interesting because I didn't know that. Well, yeah, the part of the French cuisine and Creole, that would make sense.
Hmm.
Although you and I never ate a frog, and you never fed me a bullfrog's
Well,
legs.
I have eaten frog legs.
I
Usually
did
the you
too.
just eat the legs.
I
But if
did
you'd like
too.
to, I can
No, no,
arrange
no, no,
that.
no, 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 not anymore. Not anymore. I tried it in China because there was nothing else for me to eat, and whatever food, Chinese food we have here is Americanized, westernized Chinese food, and it's quite adaptable to our fragile Western tastes.
Hmm.
When I was in China, I didn't find anything suitable for myself to eat, and on the menu, and one was the frog leg. Okay, the bullfrog. I said, okay, I'm gonna try that. I remember that it tasted like chicken, so I was decided to taste that. Well, needless to say that I probably came back like 10 pounds lighter from China. But frogs, those bullfrogs, they don't taste like chicken at all. So, but you like it, right?
I like it fried. I mean, I eat almost everything, so I'm open to any cuisine that someone's going to serve, and I will absolutely try it, even if it's as much as the repulsive look that Anthony Bourdain had on his face when he ate the rotten fish, which is, I think, a
Ooh,
delicacy, maybe in
it's a delicacy.
I think it's like maybe I don't want to say I'm gonna probably get it wrong if I say Swedish or Scandinavian. I'll probably get it wrong, but maybe next week I can come back. I think that we might be slightly procrastinating from
We're
the topic of
procrastinating from the main
procrastinating.
task. Exactly, exactly. What is this? Where did that take us? Come on, that's exactly what it is. Because, we may think of that in a mundane terms. And also, it is a part of archetypal psychology. Also, that there's something that overtakes us right at the time when we want to do a particular task. And that could be like, I have to do some writing, right? I have to do writing.
Oh yes,
Oh,
it
and all
happened
of
to
a
me for my
sudden,
dissertation.
oh yeah, all of a
Hmm.
sudden, oh, the house needs to be spotless. Oh my God, I have to clean under my bed. Like haven't done it like in 5 years, and all of a sudden I have this desire to do it. Find all sorts of different things underneath, like that I was looking for ages. And yeah, so all these things that we don't want to do regularly when we procrastinate, when we are avoiding certain tasks, we're like getting up and as if we don't belong to ourselves, we start moving in a direction of unacceptable tasks at the moment.
Yes, I learned when I was going through my dissertation, I was having the hardest time focusing. I was doing everything other than what I should have been doing. And it was because I was afraid of failure. Somebody pointed it out. They're like, you're afraid of failure. And I had to be like, what are you talking about? Surely, I think that's what it came down to. Fear of failing. And I haven't even started. I mean, it doesn't even make sense, but it does make sense. It's a
It does make
paradox.
sense. Exactly. It is a paradox. And I remember myself, and I'm not such a fast writer as you are. And it
But
takes
you're a
me,
grammar goddess. So, I mean, you have the balance there. We balance the
well,
scales.
I'm a goddess,
Indeed,
period.
you are.
Like you rightfully noticed. And I'm a goddess in everything, and particularly procrastination as well. I love that as well. So once in a while, I do procrastinate, and I hate myself for it. So what happens, like psychologically, from avoiding those tasks, you beat yourself up, and then it gets the cumulative effect, and then you start hating yourself, and it creates a low self-esteem, right?
Yeah,
And
because we're constantly actually procrastinating is leading us to, you know, fail. We're so afraid
absolutely.
to fail that we're
That
actually
we're leading
lining up
ourselves to
to
fail.
fail.
Right,
We're so
exactly.
there's a quote, it says like the cost of procrastination is the life you could have lived. So we're so
True.
caught up in this, we're making more procrastination just brings so much more stress, but we're masters of it. We're masters of
Hmm.
self-deception. That's a part of it. We're just deceiving ourselves. Some things we're not going to want to do in life. Some things are not going to be fun. Not everything is going to be peachy. Yet, and again, this is not something you just dive in and say all of a sudden I'm never going to procrastinate again. Well, good luck with that. I think
Exactly.
it's inherent. It's built in.
It's
It
inherent because we are habits of we're habits. We're creatures of habit. We're also habits on their own. We're creatures of habit, and we want comfort. So that is why we deviate to the comforting conditions for
the
us.
delusion of comfort in this instance. We're deluding ourselves by procrastinating, thinking that we're actually comfortable. Meanwhile, the deadline clock is just tick tock, tick tock. You know.
TikTok. Oh my God. And that's exactly is the case. And for me, I have discovered that even if other people don't talk about it, we're all procrastinating. Once in a while, we do that. And there are physiological factors behind that. And we have to be thinking that people who procrastinate, which all of us once in a while, right? Or some quite often, more often than others,
Mhm.
we chase dopamine. So, with that in mind, that if we understand that the process behind procrastination, we might as well take all those necessary steps in order to work with it, right? Once we understand it, then we can work with it, right?
Yeah,
So, with the dopamine actually works as a motivator.
the
It is a
reward.
motivator, a reward. That's
Mhm.
right.
Motivates us
So,
for that. That's right.
exactly. So I think it is very important for us to elevate and maintain our baseline dopamine levels. And sometimes we completely disregard the such elementary things as sleep, for example. And the sleep, if we think that, oh, we can just pack everything into one day at the expense of our sleep, we're largely mistaken. Yeah, there's so much to do in a day. I was just uh, telling my daughter yesterday, as it was time to go back to sleep, I said, all I do in this life is just like, I go to sleep every single day. Every single day, I go to sleep. For Pete's sake, why do I need to do that? Why don't I? Why can't I have more hours in the day? Right. And for some people, it's like, oh, waking up, it's another day. Like all I do is wake up. No, all I do is seems to me like I go to sleep. And because I want to pack so much into my day that it's never enough for me. So I think that sleeping is important because that's when our dopamine levels get replenished, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, if also procrastination will affect your sleep. If you're stressed out because you didn't meet your deadline because you preferred to clean under your bed, then you've just compounded your stress, and then oftentimes because you're stressed, you may eat too much or not eat enough. So you may be, suffering from malnutrition or not good nutrients in your body. So you're not feeling well. And in effect, that usually affects everything around you, everyone around you. If I'm tired and stressed out, I may be shorter with my children or people around me. Just, I have less tolerance. So procrastination can affect us deeply. And
Oh,
we may,
absolutely.
again, self deception. I'm just tired. I'm just this, all these things, but we can change these things. We can make changes.
We can, and we surely have to if we want to see any progress in our lives, and especially in the direction where we want to go. Because, like you mentioned, we have to have proper nutrition. And why? Because a lot of the times I catch myself like I'm doing something. Oh, I just need to, like you, Dr. Sherry. I mastered the science of eating above the sink, above the kids' heads,
Yeah.
above my desk. I never eat at my desk or in my bed. When people say that, oh, I'd like to have breakfast in bed, like coffee in bed. For Pete's sake, I don't look at my best when I'm in the morning, when I'm inquiring about coffee in bed, that I don't want to put crumbs into my place where I sleep, right? For me, it is the place to sleep and there are places to eat. So it's when we do that, of course, it can be a habit of asking for breakfast in bed or even thinking that it's a good thing. For me, I have to get up. I have to dress up. I have to take a shower. I have to dress up, and I have to go to the breakfast table. Otherwise, my brain won't be functioning. My day will be completely ruined, right? So I
Yes.
have to have that. I have to be dressed. I can't be even eating anything in my pajamas. This is it.
Wow, well,
Like,
that's fantastic. I mean, I can definitely eat in my pajamas. Sometimes I eat at my desk, and I mean, I do that, but I have to still practice to learn, as we spoke about last week, to do be present, mindful eating. I mean, maybe once in a while in your life, you probably deserve to have be served breakfast in bed. So, there's tray. We can bring you a tray or something, or maybe that'll be something. I mean, here, what am I talking about? I don't often seek that out either, but I mean,
you know what? I don't think that you would ever be able to eat in bed. You would be getting up and wanting to care for other people, and you wouldn't be completely happy just sitting there and indulging and eating in bed. No, I don't see you doing that.
no,
Well,
not
some
necessarily.
not necessarily. So you do. You can enjoy
No,
it.
I can't even think that I've ever eaten in bed. Maybe long time ago. No, I'm up in the morning. I get up, and if I'm not procrastinating, I try to get up and not do too much social media in the morning. I've tried to eliminate that from my wake up routine in the morning, so I can get up and not be looking at things that could possibly change uh my pattern. And if I, because that can take me out for who knows how long, scrolling and getting caught in one article to the next article. So I try to eliminate that when I wake up.
That is absolutely important because the first few moments, few minutes to half hour when you wake up, your brain is absolutely acceptable to all of the information. Just consider that you and I are clinical hypnotherapists, right? We understand the power of suggestion. So when we do hypnosis, we have to put a person down, right? Bring him back to the alpha state, or
Hmm.
just take him to the alpha state, meaning completely relaxed. So, what happens when we just wake up in the morning? We are so relaxed, and our brains are in alpha state, getting into beta slowly, and we are so impressionable at this time. So, whatever we look at, whatever information that we hear, it's actually get impress on our minds. This is how we start our day. Imagine we are watching bad news. That's you have to avoid watching bad news in the morning. In the morning, what the a lot of people say that meditation really does help them, and people who are successful in their life, they also do meditation, not necessarily taking their mind off everything because they just woke up from the mind being gone all night long, or perhaps like watching dreams. But at the same time, that meditation brings you to the state of perception and state of your mind when you can talk to yourself, when you can persuade yourself in a very easy way how to approach this day. Like I have noticed that those days that I don't talk to myself, and I love talking to myself. Sometimes, Dr. Sherry, it feels good to speak to an intelligent person.
Hey,
So I speak to
I am
myself.
completely okay if anyone talks to themselves, and I'm even okay if you answer yourself. I mean, I'm on board with whatever gets you through the day. I think we should also elaborate on meditation, because not meditation doesn't always involve sitting there listening to music or just talking to yourself. Even in addition to affirmations, you may be practicing writing a gratitude list, writing something, or just sitting there. I think and being present in the moment, whether you're speaking to yourself or not. I think you're right. I mean, having a mindfulness and living in the now. Procrastination gets away from the now. It takes us away from that moment because we're already focusing on the outcome. I think that's the most detrimental part of procrastination. We're so worried about the end that we forget to enjoy the journey that leads us there.
That's absolutely is the case. We forget about it, and uh, now I procrastinated from my thought here, what I have to say, and my mind just evaporated for a few seconds. I was already in this joyful activity over this weekend, thinking, oh, what I'm gonna do, what fantastically enjoyable things I'm gonna do, and there, bam, I forgot about talking about procrastination.
We procrastinate so easily. See how it just but it's
Just
beautiful to
like that.
it's beautiful to have moments to think about the future. However, what they call like don't future trip. Try not to stay in it. I think thinking about things of the future can bring hope, but try to focus on the things that bring hope and not stress. I mean, I know a lot of this procrastination, easier said than done. It's an ongoing process. It's something that we will probably more than likely practice until we are wherever we go after this life.
Yeah, we have to have also the practical approach to it. There are social, psychophysiological factors to it, of course. And speaking also again about the nutrition and eating properly, it is such an overused concept, and everyone is telling us from the screens how we should be eating. But we need to develop our own system, right? And eat mindfully, like you said.
Yeah.
Uh,
Build self compassion as well.
Build self compassion and also understand what foods are helping you to produce more serotonin, because some of them like cheese and nuts, they are high in tyrosine, and that is helping you to build the serotonin. And if we eat just breads and just simple carbs, and it can give us the uh, very short sugar boost, and we will be thinking, oh yes, like I'm more productive, but nevertheless it is a very short term. And also, I have noticed of what is so great for me, and neuroscience supports it fully, that we have to have first, when we wake up in the morning, we have to have some sun in our eyes, at least
Or
10
light.
minutes a
Or light.
day.
Because
For
sometimes,
light. Yeah.
yeah, because when you wake up in the morning, sometimes here when I wake up early, there's no sunlight. But so you can use light. So just to clarify.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. Or if you can do sunlight, would be even greater. But with any light, you have to have that light. Otherwise, you're going to
Oftentimes
be
I just call Dr. Yana up and be like, okay, FaceTime time this your son. You are the sun, goddess.
sunshine. I'm shining my rays. Exactly. Oh my God. I'm a sun today. I'm also a goddess. What else am I today?
Later
Uh,
you'll be the moon, I guess.
right. At night, I'm the moon shining to people. So the
Multiple people.
sunlight. Yeah. And also, we talk about regular exercise, and people can be so tired of listening about this regular exercise. I hate when people tell me, oh, you have to exercise more, oh, you have to do this, oh, you have to do that. But to tell you the truth, that our limbic system is always in a communication with our brain. So, in order to get ourselves unstuck,
Like emotionally regulated, you mean?
well, emotionally, not necessarily emotionally regulate, but in order to get unstuck from procrastinating moments, what we have to do, we have to get ourselves uncomfortable, and we have to start moving. By starting moving, our brains already get the information that I need to produce more dopamine. I need to produce more dopamine in order to motivate you, right? So our
Yeah.
brains are very smart in this regard. And we think that, oh, this is not the case, and we are the masters of our brain. Well, if you're the master of your brain, start moving your behind. so,
Yeah.
so, so putting nicely.
Indeed. Well, the limbic system is the seat of emotion of our brain, so it definitely impacts us. I think, even if you want to address it as exercise, I think anything that you want to address that may help you not procrastinate, think of it as a process. It's a process. If you think you're going to go to the gym and you're just going to do all these things, if you're doing exercise, doesn't require you to even have to leave your home. Even if you walk, it's just a matter of changing the pattern. You have to learn to change the pattern in your life, whatever it might be. It doesn't even pertain to just exercise. A habit is a pattern of belief. So we have to learn to rewire these patterns. And that's why just like exercise or eating, break things down into smaller steps, more manageable bites. Think again of the metaphorical elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you change your life? One step at a time. You can run, even when you're running in life, as fast as you can go, you're still taking a step at a time. One step is in the step, you're just going faster, but it's always one step after the other. It's a step, step by step, manageable, realistic.
Step by step. And what happens is that with the dopamine behind the motivation, so we start moving and we produce that dopamine that actually motivates us to go more
Yeah, the
and
endorphins.
further and higher, right? Because if
Mhm.
we sit yeah, we can enjoying things that not does not require the production of dopamine. This is the craziest thing. We can sit in front of the TV, binge watch Netflix with a popcorn on our bellies or whatever, cookies, mm, and also enjoy the moment. However, what is the motivational factor here? Yeah, we enjoy it, but there's no dopamine, and dopamine that pushes us to pursue things. So in order
Yeah.
to do that, make the first step, make two steps. I'm always motivated and just completely taken aback, respecting people that I see that were, for example, 500 pounds, and they got so motivated, they probably reached the last very moment, right? The rock bottom. So they just decided, okay, like I'm going to lose all that weight. And you can see that they're so motivated by that. They go to the gym. They even put themselves on the social media, how they did that to motivate other people as well. So
Hmm.
for me, why were they motivated? They could have just sat on the couch and eat popcorn and cookies and whatever it is. But nevertheless, they have probably gotten to the point when they couldn't do that anymore. So why wait for that moment? Why wait for that moment? Like, for
Yes.
example,
You can't wait for inspiration,
oh no, you can't.
but you
You
can
can.
take it.
Exactly. You can't wait for those muses or muse. What is the masculine? There's no such a action. There's no masculine form of a muse. Muse is a muse. She's a female. Somehow, this isn't that interesting.
It's a feminine energy, just like the moon, right?
Yeah. So if we sit and wait for the muse to visit us for the inspiration, then we're going to be sitting there for the rest of our lives, and then the regret of not doing what we wanted to do is worse, is much worse. So at the end of the day, you're going to say, okay, like I blew this day completely. Happens to me. Happens absolutely to
And that
me.
will that often sets you back. If you always remember, again, let's remind ourselves whatever we're saying, we're listening to. So when we tell ourselves, "Oh, I just blew my day," that is another brick that we have just put into the foundation of procrastination, which is really actually the house of cards. Procrastination is a house of cards. There's no foundation. Let me erase that term completely, because there's no foundation to procrastinating. It's just a house of cards. It can fall at any time.
It can
You
fall
know,
at any time. And that is so interesting that you mentioned that, because a lot of us can get addicted to drugs. For example, the dopaminergic drugs,
any kind of addiction.
any kinds of that regard, yeah, but primarily that if we take cocaine or amphetamines, right, they release an abnormal amount of dopamine,
Yes, it's
right?
like a
And
yeah, tremendous.
tremendous what happens, the dopamine itself, the drug itself, becomes the reward, and we can't do anything else uh, with our lives, and we're hoping to get that quick fix. So we take the vitamins and we're going. Where's the motivation? And not only the motivation, we have to have the meaning behind our motivation,
I
right?
yes, oftentimes when we're involved in addiction, I believe we're out of touch with reality. We're out of touch with ourselves. We're like negative, probably negatively thinking. We are addictions, but a symptom of like drugs are often a symptom of the actual problem that's going on. So when we reach an addiction, we're actually not dealing with the core crux of the problem. We are actually using these things to manage to cope. So I think that's also a maybe negative thinking of ourselves, learning to build challenge negative thinking, build self-compassion, go home. If we say our body is a vessel, we have to be the captain of this vessel. I mean, are you actually going to hire somebody to physically move you around and take steps for you? No, we have to be the captain of our own vessel. I think there's a wonderful quote that sums that up, but I have no idea how to put it into words right now. But it's about being the captain of your own ship, of your own vessel. So, like you said, there's dealing with the deep seated things that lead to addiction. I think are equally or the same for procrastination. Same. We're dealing with those same root issues like perfectionism, self esteem, no value, which affects our time management, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And the secret here is start moving in a direction, right? Because
Making a change slowly,
making that change. And some
gradually.
Yeah, gradually,
Be
and
bread.
not beating ourselves up. We have to be like Jordan Peterson says, my most well, Jordan Peterson and Carl Jung are my most celebrated, my most favorite psychotherapists. And Jordan Peterson said that you have to stop beat yourself up for not doing things, right? You
Yeah, you
have
have to
to
get out of the
agree with
guilty
yourself.
shame.
Yeah,
Well, because
you
when
have
you're
to
beating
agree with
yourself up,
yourself.
you're living in the mode of victimhood. Poor
All the
me.
time. Poor
Yeah,
me all the
and
time.
it doesn't.
Exactly.
You don't gain anything in that. It's hard to see when we're in it, though. It took me many years to even something as small as being a victim. I had no idea. Even blaming another person from a relationship or whatever it was, it took me many years to really accept responsibility for my own role. Take your own personal inventory and stop worrying about the other person. I think I'm procrastinating from the topic again here, but
What it is not, taking responsibility for yourself, for your action, for your life is the most important thing,
yes.
because nowadays in our society, I think we're being celebrated for not taking responsibility. This victim mentality is being elevated and essentially celebrated in our society. So
Is it?
this yeah, this is my understanding. This is how I see it. And the strong people become the villains somehow. Strong people with the great moral values, they become the villains, and the victimhood and the weakness are being celebrated.
Well,
So if you
anybody with an inability to take responsibility for what they're doing will always. It's there's a saying that says like people who are have strong beliefs, they actually it has to do with maybe religion, like fate. They said a lot people who hold on to a certain sect of belief, they will actually um, reject reality and believe whatever comes to their way. So a lot of times that happens with what you're saying. We reject our reality in belief of something, an idol, a person, a government, whatever it might be. Does that make any sense? Did I
That's
twist that a
true.
little much?
Oh, we have to be able to twist it and look at the things from every direction, because like when we lie to ourselves by running after something that is not true to us, and to be honest, this is where the root of the problem is. And we have to understand that. Attack yourself from every direction and look what is of benefit to you and is not destructive. So agree with yourself, or just
Accept
say, okay,
responsibility.
all
Take
day long.
responsibility.
Exactly. Take
Accept your
responsibility.
reality. When you don't accept your reality, you will take whatever else. You will embrace everything else that, like you're saying, probably
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah. We have to be able to uh, talk to ourselves as our best friend, because a lot of the times we talk to ourselves as the enemy. Okay, you have to do it. Like Jordan Peterson says, like with a whip, bam, go do it. And be compassionate with yourself, like you're saying, right? And give yourself reward at the end of the certain task.
Be
How,
patient.
be patient. But so interesting is like, while we think of a reward at the end of some activity, for example, right? I've noticed that yeah, this is psychological advice to give yourself a reward at the end of the certain task. This is what our parents did to us as well, right? But if we look at that from the neuroscience perspective, and Andrew Huberman, he's fantastic about explaining this. It was a huge surprise to me to learn that the dopamine is actually released not at the time when you get your reward, but in the process of it. And that immediately became so clear to me why I never rewarded myself after completing certain tasks. I
Hmm.
even when I got my PhD, I did not celebrate it. Uh, Even after my master's, like I never celebrated anything. Not because I was uh, treating myself so harshly. No, it's just for me, it was not something that need to be celebrated. Although a lot of people they do. I did not give myself a treat. I did not go on a trip somewhere. I was not tripping. I did not go
Me,
anywhere.
stuck in mushroom land. Sherry was out
Exactly.
there flying above the clouds.
Yeah, so I didn't do anything of that. And for a while, I thought that something is wrong with me. I don't know how to celebrate. I don't know how to be happy. In fact, I do know how to celebrate it. And just a pursuit of a particular task was already rewarding to me because that was meaningful. And I did
Yes,
it. And I did it. One thing after another, I did it. And then I felt good. But when I didn't do things that I set in front of myself, the goals or even the New Year resolution, I would feel bad. Because if we set the New Year's resolutions as something inaccessible, like
stop
losing
setting them.
30 pounds in the first month, yeah, it is possible.
Stop.
You're going to
I
drop
think
dead at the end.
stop waiting till the beginning of a year to change your life. I mean, every day that you wake up is a blessing to be above ground. I mean, if you're above ground, you might be in a submarine somewhere. I guess you're still above the earth somehow there.
Yeah,
But you
that
you
is the
don't
best
have to
thing.
make. I think that's what we do. We make so many promises to ourselves and other people, and we're like perfectionists and all these things that we all the choices we make in life. But it's people make such a big deal about this New Year resolution, and I don't know. I think every day should be something that you take steps in either maintaining. If you've made change, you can always grow. We're always growing. Just keep adding water, whatever that is to your life. The hardest part, I believe, in any part of your life is change. My favorite quote of all time is by Evelyn Wow, and it says the change is the only evidence of life. And it absolutely we change. We age. We watch our children grow. We watch our people around us get older. Everything is about change. The leaves fall from the trees, you know.
Don't talk about changing. Don't talk about growing older, children getting older, and us aging.
That's the
Don't talk about
existential.
aging at
It's
all.
important to talk about it because you have to address in life the existential angst is a part of procrastination. It's a part of it. It's so
Let's not
amazing.
think about the existential angst. Let's not think about it. It
You
doesn't
have to
exist. Let's
you have to
procrastinate
face
and
it.
not think about it.
You have to face it. Once you face it, you can live it. You have to be able to face it and embrace it. My mom always tells me because I'm always sometimes get into the existential angst of losing my parents or my children, sometimes, which will take me out for a moment and two. And I'm like, what am I thinking? It's crazy. But it's a part of life, you know?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that as well. I think about it and then I remove myself from
That's
thinking about it.
good.
I have to forcefully take myself out because I'm going to do that the rabbit hole. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's
Mm-hmm.
inevitable. What can we do with it? What we can do is to talk about it on going
Yeah,
live on United Public Radio Network,
that's right.
107.7 FM. And we are live with Be Honest Show with Dr. Sherry and myself, Dr. Yana. Two goddesses, by the way, if you didn't know that. Two queens are two goddesses, like you are ladies. Well, gentlemen can be gods, and ladies are goddesses. We all have a piece of the divine in us.
Yes.
So, as we talk on the procrastination, I think it is very important what you mentioned, Dr. Sherry, is perfectionism. Perfectionism is a killer of everything.
That's one of the reasons we don't even celebrate our accomplishment because we're so perfected on what can we achieve next. For some people, like some people are driven differently than other people, but it's like it doesn't seem like I have to remind myself oftentimes that I actually accomplished that I have that because I sometimes will get down on myself and people around me are like, "Do you realize what you've accomplished in your life?" And when they say bring that to my attention, it's like absolutely. It's like sometimes we forget all the milestones that we took to get us where we are and to like you said to celebrate in whatever way celebration you want to, even by saying I am so grateful.
Exactly. Absolutely the truth. Because we think our society predominantly makes us think that the celebration is something that has to have a lot of noise, balloons, lots of alcohol, and it is not. Or at least, well, not at least, or tons of people right next to you also screaming and celebrating with you, right? The
Yeah,
champagne flowing and all. It doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes it is just like sitting with yourself or even walking or doing anything, going for a walk. That this is what I do. And I give myself credit for it. Okay, like you have done it. What is the next step? And I don't think that I'm robbing myself necessarily of the celebratory moments that I could be having. My friend, for example, the from Europe, she always like, so how are you going to be celebrating your birthday? How are you going to celebrating this and this and that? Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna travel? And like
Well, that's a be it's
sometimes I
also
feel so
beautiful.
bad saying, like, you know what? I'm not planning to travel. I'm not planning to do this. I'm not planning to do that. I'm not planning to have a party. And finally, she stopped asking me because I celebrate in a totally different way. I sometimes can just go for a walk. I uh, can reward myself with actually giving myself some time to read those books that I don't get a chance to read, right?
Yeah.
So that is a reward for myself. So, but from the neuroscience perspective, the pursuit of something is itself is already producing the serotonin and happiness itself. It's already a reward, not what's at the end. At the end, the reward at the end does not produce serotonin, but the pursuit of
Yeah,
the
because
task
oftentimes a
does.
celebration in those regards is oftentimes other people bringing it to us. It's usually not something we often do on our own, right? When we're like a birthday party or what, so on and so forth. It's usually other people around us who inspire that. We're going to throw a party for you. We would love to have you do this. We would love to celebrate your accomplishment. So you're right, taking celebration upon your own to reward yourself with good, even if it's words, like you said, even if it's a book. It doesn't have to be anything major. Even if it's closing your eyes and just for a moment, or just learning to live in the moment, not procrastinating.
Exactly. And sometimes that could be a reward just to close your eyes or take a nap or go to sleep and have a peaceful sleep after a certain task. And I have found that very helpful, and not that I exhaust myself to the point of no return. And that happens quite often as well when I just like fall face down on my bed and just fall asleep. But that to catch up, yeah, to catch up with that sleep is a very important thing. So for me, that could be a reward. So that's very interesting. We all celebrate things in a different manner, which is good, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's, and again, like you said, the self talk, just making the change in life. Change is not easy. I think Jung says the bringing the unconscious conscious is going to be painful. Oftentimes, I think change can be painful. Just like if you're exercising, if you're making a change, chances are if you went to work out somewhere, you're going to be sore. So it could be physical pain, mental pain. You may eliminate some friends in your life if you change. They're just, you outgrow certain situations. Um, but I think, all of these biopsychosocial changes are very important. And just, you know, staying focused, I guess, on the tasks. How do you do that?
I know that sometimes it is very difficult even to stay focused because we can have even different psychological or health disorders, right? And I remember myself at the time when I was struggling with some health issue. I couldn't do anything. There was no motivation for quite some time, and it was not the clinical depression. It was not a depression at all. So at the time when I couldn't bring myself up to do anything, there was no joy of anything. I was just feeling so bad all the time. So when people just say, "Oh, like get up and go do something," like I couldn't even move. So how do you get a motivation or the desire to do anything when, for example, people have clinical depression, when they're in the episode, for example, or different mental states that are unable, that makes them being unable to do anything when they have no desire to do anything. And that could be a big problem. And that's what happened to me. And the doctor at the time, she mistakenly said that, oh, you're depressed. And I'm like, I'm not depressed. And she said, if your mind is not depressed, then your body is. I found this so silly. My body is depressed. Although I did not have a depression, um, it was a different issue, but that was so real to me. It was so real because I could not even move, so exhausted that I was. So when this happens, it's just an empty talk when somebody comes to you, try to cheer you up and say, oh, you have to pursue your goals, or you have to go exercise. Sometimes it's just absolutely impossible.
Well, I think taking out those words or other things we have to eliminate to our vocabulary. Have to, need to, I should, I could, I would. Those are not the things that are going to get you out of the seat of procrastination. I have to do this. I need to get it done. It's not going to help. It puts so much more strain. Those words are very direct. But if you're not going to be direct and you're not going to make the changes, those words are going to really affect you. And again,
True.
the information we're bringing you is for entertainment purposes. And if you do feel like you are really depressed and you're having a hard time getting up or feeling or any type of thing, we recommend that you seek support, some coaching. Don't be afraid to reach
Seek
out to
physician.
people.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
See a physician and run some blood work, some tests, because it is absolutely important. Because while we're talking about the procrastination, there's some physical problems that can prevent us from even wanting to do anything or taking the first or second, or we're not thinking about even the third step. People sometimes cannot move. So for that, it's important to go to the physician and figure out things what was wrong with you physically, and then after that you can accomplish. Because I remember myself when I was in that condition, again, speaking about Jordan Peterson and how he inadvertently, like so indirectly saved my life at the time. He was talking, as I thought that he was talking to me from the screen. He was giving a speech. And I heard him say that if you are in such a state when you think that you need a lot of help, when you can't even move, when you can't talk, like for example, the clinical depression, you have to get up and you have to get help. And if you have to take some medicine, which is okay, pharmacological help, this is okay, he said. And I'm not advocating for that the people who are just having small minor issues, but for people with clinical depression, it is absolutely necessary to go seek help because you can't even at times move. And
Yes, if
that
you feel
saved me.
hopeless, find
If you
hope.
feel hopeless, exactly, because there's so many different manifestations of depressive symptoms that you have to get some help. Although do not over pathologize yourself. Depression can come from lack of motivation and lack of meaning in life. So if we just say that, oh, I'm depressed, that's why I'm not doing anything, that could be also an excuse. But
Absolutely. Also, do not try to self-diagnose yourself. Don't. I would
absolutely,
not recommend you read 100 things and say, "I remember." I think I'll always reiterate everything you tell yourself, every label you give yourself. You are telling yourself, "This is what I have." So therefore, if you don't have it, you're rejecting the reality again, and you start to live behind a label, which can be very detrimental. Whatever the label is. I'm bipolar, I'm OCD, it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be a mental health issue there. But if you live under that label, you are limiting your potential. And life is all about reaching that full potential.
and that is a potential, and we have to remember those are just the medical terms, right? Medical terminology that is not defining who we are, right? And when someone is saying, "Oh, he's bipolar," or uh, "He's borderline," or "She's borderline," I avoid and I ask people not to really call other people this way because, well, first it is overused, being borderline. Oh, he is borderline, and that's it. That people just diagnose each other all the time as we go.
Yeah,
That
well,
is
you don't
they
have
go in
you
life.
don't have the expertise, or
You
if you
don't have
don't
the
have the
expertise exactly,
expertise or the education to back up your word, then be careful what you're saying, especially to yourself.
especially to yourself. That is absolutely so. In the morning when we wake up and we procrastinate and we don't do what we should be doing, it's important to know that talk to yourself.
Yeah, it
Talk to
reminds me of
yourself.
Mel Robbins. She's a podcaster, and I think she has the 5-second rule. She talks about you go
Oh
like
yeah,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. It's it's it's
yeah.
it's I mean, I think of that almost like getting in an ice bath. Woof.
You know,
I mean, I don't do that often, but I do the cold shower. I don't do it for a long time, but I have tried that, and it is invigorating.
It's absolutely
Invigorating.
fantastic.
Mhm.
It is. It is. Well, in the morning, we cannot take an ice bath, as you know. It is not a good idea. But cold showers are fantastic. And of course, that you have to check with your physician whether you can do it or not. But that can be a
Or you can
shock for
just
the
try it.
body. Yeah, contrast showers like hot and cold is actually pretty good. But in the morning, when you take a cold shower, even if after you have taken a warm one at the end, like for a few seconds, you can turn on the cold one. And that will put your body in a state of a mild shock and give you, start to help. Starts helping. In any case, it start producing serotonin. That's it. I'm just like,
Yes, it's not for well, maybe I think you just
okay,
thought so hard.
I'm procrastinating
Maybe
now. I'm gone.
you're gone. Your
That's
brain
it.
froze in the cold shower.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah. In the
again,
cold shower. It's like, this is the time. I'm so used to procrastinating, and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gone. My brain is like, that's
well,
it.
and when you start to practice the cold shower, you don't just go in there and blast yourself with cold water and be like, do it like your approach to procrastination should
Yeah,
be the same. Gradually add a little cold water. Gradually get it to where you can tolerate it. Slowly build upon it if it's something you want to try. This is not in any shape or form trying to suggest that you go out there and jump in a pool of ice or take an ice shower. It's all about gradual change. It's doing something that you're not used to that actually will change the cellular structures of your, or maybe I should say the neurochemicals that are flowing throughout your body.
exactly. The neurochemicals, because what happens that just love the dopamine topic. I just love it. Like
Well, we
return to it
love
all the time.
dopamine. I mean,
Dopamine. So, but this is what happens. You put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, and then you start moving, and then the dopamine gets released. So that is absolutely important. Even taking this cold shower in the morning, that is already releasing dopamine, and dopamine make
right.
you feel happy. Although some may feel euphoric. I love taking cold showers as well. Like, bam, you feel so good after that. And you don't even need coffee at times. So, although coffee just became a habit of mine and I just like drinking coffee. But cold shower in the morning is absolutely fantastic. And this is what it does, it builds serotonin, releases serotonin
Yeah.
and makes us feel good. And that's after that.
You're procrastinating again.
Yeah, after that, you can't procrastinate. You have to jump out of the shower and dry yourself, because you're cold, and get out and do something. And then it's impossible to procrastinate after that. So,
Yeah, and even if you choose not to shower in the morning or take a cold shower, I think just taking a moment to just to focus on being present. I think that's what we lose sight of the most. And when we lose sight of being present, we drift off into the off the shoreline of procrastination. La la la. I'll get it. And convincing ourselves over and I'll get it done. I'll get it done. But we have to start producing so much cortisol, so much stress hormone, the adrenaline. We have to, and I think for me, what I learned is the stress I was putting myself. I had like an addiction to suffering. I want to say because the adrenaline that would be caused by the stress of like suffering would cause that flow of that adrenaline, which feels good in a really interesting, lovely way, I guess to put it.
so interesting, Sherry. Make an appointment with me. Let's talk about it.
Oh, I've addressed it, but I would love to talk about it, right? Because you would be so objective.
Yeah, let's make an appointment. But the interesting thing is that I've also noticed that with friends of mine, that sometimes they would turn from being clients, they would turn into friends. And I've noticed that a lot of the times when you give people an advice and you know that and they know that it's a valuable advice, nevertheless they don't do that. They are not motivated enough to do it. So even if they know they're not making right choices, and when you tell them
Yeah,
that this is the case, this is a state of affairs, and this is what you should be doing,
or just
uh,
encourage,
or just
encourage.
encouraging them to do that, the thing is what happens is that they are still not motivated. So there are different motivations for people. What
Self-limiting beliefs is probably behind that.
Self-limiting beliefs are also the procrastination, and in those terms, I had a friend who would always just procrastinate and not do what she's supposed to be doing and always get into bad relationships when I spent such a long time just coaching her and telling her, uh, helping her understand the reality behind everything. And then finally, she's just like, that she got herself into such a crazy state of affairs and trouble. Then I said, you know what? This is what you need to do. You need to make an appointment with me, and you come and you sit in front of me, and we're going to talk, and you're going to pay. That brought her attention. She came, she made an appointment, she sat in front of me, she looked into my eyes, she listened to everything that I said, she understood, and then she implemented that. So, why do we need to wait until our life dissipates in front of our eyes? Why do we need to wait for that? Why do we need to go and have someone actually tell us what to do when we ourselves can take a moment, like you said, to be present, not in the future, not in the past, but be present and ask yourself, what is going on? And
Yeah,
when
it's
we
just
do that, that's when things start to change. But when we immerse ourselves in self deception, oh, that feels so good. Self deception deviates us from taking responsibility
yeah,
from all this.
procrastination is the desire to feel good right now. That's a quote from Dr. Peichel, I believe it is, in his research. Procrastination is a desire to feel good right now. It's all built around stress. It's that's the, I think, defining mechanism of procrastination is stress. Sometimes we like
Absolutely.
to say, well, I'm so good under pressure. Well, that's great. If you're serving 400 people in a kitchen, good, because you have to be good under pressure in that regard. But you don't have to live your life completely in pressure. If you could try to live in the now, procrastination cannot exist in the now. When you live in the now, the ego cannot exist in the now, correct? So if the ego can't exist in the now, procrastination can't, because procrastination is a part of the subconscious. It's
Dr.
not
Sherry,
in the
what are you
now.
talking about? My ego lives in the present time, not in the future, not in the past. It lives in the present time.
It cannot defeat you in the moment.
Our egos, yeah, they live in the present times. Of course, they can. So,
Well,
what?
they do, but it's do you understand what I mean by that?
No, elaborate on that, Dr. Sherry.
Well, like when you're living in the moment, your ego can't take you out. You're not living in your head. So your ego is a survival instinct, but you're not listening to the voice in your head when you're in the moment. When you're completely and entirely present in the moment of where you are and you are aware, you're being honest with yourself. And again, this is not something we live on a 24-hour basis, more than likely, because we don't practice it, or minus the time we sleep. Living in the now, when you're focused on the present, your ego can't take you. The ego is out to, I don't want to say it's out to kill you in a sense, but it's a survival thing. It doesn't serve you in the present if you're listening to the voice in your head, which is oftentimes referred to as the ego.
Interesting. My ego wants to take me at all times. To
Well, it does want to take you, but when you're in the moment, it can't exist in the moment because you're
yeah.
present. Your
You're talking about
subconscious,
acceptance,
when you're
perhaps?
cognitively aware, your ego cannot live because the ego is not cognition, right? It's all intertwined. I get it. Deeply in the cognitive, in the theater of consciousness, it's all intertwined. I understand. But living in the now, you are present. You are not listening to the voice that's in your head that's telling you what you should be procrastinating on. Living in the now, you win, right? Because the opposite, if you flip the word now around, it means I won. WON,
Oh, that is
NOW.
fantastic. I love it.
So you kind of win when you live in the now.
Exactly. And that is so important to live in the now, to give yourself the realistic assessment of the picture, right?
Yeah, because if you think of all the influencing factors of procrastination, think of it as the committee between your ears. What's between our ears? Our mind, right? So it's this little committee. You have the perfectionist in the committee saying you're a perfectionist. You're too worried
Yeah,
about how,
yeah.
right? Or the other ones that are the other part of the committee is like hoping that you fear of failure. You're just going to fail or whatever it might be. It's not like you're thinking when you're procrastinating, I'm so afraid to fail at what I'm doing. You don't even realize that's why you're procrastinating. You don't even realize that your perfectionism is causing you. The brilliance that you are is suffocating the the process of getting to the outcome, right?
That is so funny because then not only did I have a committee, I have what the executive branch, I have a Congress there, I have everything, executive and legislative branches, right?
Well,
They're all
maybe you can take us on the little journey of talking about how to in the summary, how to prioritize the process over the outcome. I mean, I think it's so important to do the process, to focus on the process, but we're so geared to the outcome.
oi. I love procrastinating. However, like we said, what it does, it robs us of the progress in our lives. It robs us of joy. It robs us of fulfillment in life. So we have to remember to prioritize the process over the outcome so that you may savor the journey across the bridge over the river rather than leaving the present moment and stressing on the destination. This is absolutely important. And this entire process starts within your willingness to be true to yourself, stay honest, and make long term positive changes. So, as you continue on your voyage to defeating procrastination, imagine driving toward the scenic location, acknowledge the road bumps and detours while staying true to your destination. Accept responsibility for your tendencies and maintain committed to the overall goal helps actually navigate the twists and turns, ensuring a genuine and prosperous arrival at the intended outcome. After all, we have the ability to conquer procrastination, embrace our progress, and unleash our power. Be honest, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. I think that's a great way to put it too. Like when you say, like the reward is like rewarding your progress. Say good things to yourself.
Yeah, rewarding your progress, that is one of the things, and staying true to yourself. Because we, as humans, it just feels so good to lie to ourselves and remain in self deception. Like one day I'm going to lose weight. Today I can still eat all that cake like I did. I'm not going to say when.
Hmm.
I ate a cake, and then my daughter, she's like, and I told my daughter, I said, you know what? I ate that cake before the New Year's because my New Year's resolution to cut the sugar. And she said, Mommy, it was after the New Year. Guess what I said? My procrastination just kicked in. I was a queen of procrastination. And I said, you know what? The new year in the old calendar style in Russian is going to be on the 13th of January into the 14th. So New Year's Eve and at the 13th, and I still have a chance to make all those resolutions and not to break them. So again, we deceive ourselves all the time. So now that, oh, I'll still get a chance. I'll still get on the healthy habits. I'm going to stop eating the sugars, right? What happens to that? What happens to that? I'm looking for another deadline for myself in order to avoid starting it now. Because if I
Yeah.
don't start it now, I will not be a winner later, right? I will not win later. So I'll still be a failure after that, thinking that, you know what, I could have been doing such a great thing to myself, a favor of stop eating sugars when,
Well, but the brain needs sugar to survive, so it's okay to eat a little sugar. I think
but it has to
setting
be healthy
realistic.
sugar.
Yeah, but I think setting realistic. Set one resolution. Set instead of resolutions. I think we just become so hard on ourselves. You're
Oh, to make me feel good about myself for eating that cake. Don't even start. Oh, sugar is good. Sugar is good. I remember your chocolate.
but
You were making
enjoy.
that chocolate in front of me. It was so delicious. It was so fantastic because you're a queen, you're a goddess of cooking. And all those cakes. Oh my God. Don't let me start about your cakes
But
because
you
those
want to
things that
enjoy the
cannot be
process.
avoided.
You want to enjoy. You want to enjoy the food. I mean,
That's
I don't want to
right.
take it
You
and
have,
not feel
exactly.
guilty. Because then when you start feeling guilty and shameful, then it takes you into that negative thinking. I think overall, I think another one of the final things we should touch upon procrastination is overwhelm. Because not just external, we have internal overwhelm, and we also have external overwhelms in our life. So being overwhelmed Not only can procrastination lead us to be overwhelmed, but overwhelm can lead us to procrastinate.
What
So
did you just say, Dr. Sherry? I procrastinated for a second. My mind
you're
was
you
already in the
evaporate again.
weekend. What just happened? What just happened?
Well, like for instance, like when you feel guilty by you broke your promise to yourself, you feel guilty. A small part of you becomes overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed with guilt, shame, and it's taking away from yourself and compassion. Oh, I just see procrastination as overwhelm being a fundamental portion of that.
Yeah, but you see how I intricately, fantastically lied to yourself, to myself, right? And say, oh no, I ate that cake before the New Year's, right? When I gave myself all that resolution, I didn't eat it after that. When in fact I did, but my mind tricked me, saying that
Mm-hmm.
no, it was before. So we love to feel okay, that we love to feel good, to be in a comfort zone, and even our minds play those tricks on us. So
Yes.
we have to be cognizant about it and understanding where our weaknesses and strengths are. So while not beating ourselves up for that is a right approach, staying on course, staying on track, and making right decisions is important. You know,
Yes.
we hear all the time from the media, oh, making the right
Making good
decisions. What
decisions.
does it mean, for Pete's sake? What does it mean? Good decisions, appropriate decisions, making good decisions for my health. I don't want to make any decisions. I just don't want to make any decisions because I'm bombarded with all of this advice as how to make good decisions. But what happens is that when we don't make decisions, when we don't take responsibility for ourselves, our lives, then what happens is that that shame circle continues,
Well, that's
and
what procrastination is. It's a
that's
it's a
exactly what it is.
repetitive cycle. You know,
And
it's
then
a
people can
wheel.
tell you, "Oh, I don't feel shameful. I don't feel guilty." Oh, it is a huge bloody BS, because I know that deep down inside, when we have not done something, we come back to ourselves. We don't go and confess that all of that to our friends, family, or anybody for that regard. When we feel so shameful about it, right? Like
Yeah.
breaking the promise to ourselves. For me, it is absolutely important to keep a promise not only to other people, but to keep a promise to myself.
Most importantly, yourself. Because
Most
everything, I
importantly,
think whatever you, if you can connect with yourself, which I think is one of the hardest things to do, because we're always trying to do for other people and connect. If you can come home to yourself and you can have self compassion and you can really be honest with yourself, you can learn to be honest with other people. Because this is where it starts.
exactly. And you know what? Sometimes I come home and I have such compassion for myself. I take out the ice cream out of the fridge and I eat it. That how much compassion I have for myself.
But you deserve to eat it. That's the thing. If food is a problem or an issue that brings you down and brings you this um, something over your eyes, whatever it might be happening, do something else that counteracts that. You go on walks. Those walks counteract that couple bites of ice cream. You do other things. So when you feel that guilty, it's like, well, I already walked twice today. You know,
Absolutely.
so try to think of that, combat, challenge that negative thinking. It's so important to always remember you are listening to everything you say.
And that is where the truth lies. You
Hmm.
always hear everything you're saying. And that you said that all of this comedy is in our minds. So we are so hard on ourselves a lot of the times, that other people don't have to be hard on us. So we are already hard on ourselves.
We're usually judging other people, and that's why it becomes hard on ourselves because we're seeking externally to, we're looking outside of us, seeing how society says we should live. That's, you have, when you come in, you I don't think you judge as much when you learn to love yourself and learn to meet people where they are instead of judging. I think Mother Teresa says you can't love somebody when you're too busy judging them. When you're
Well,
judging people, you can't love. You can't when you're judging people, you can't love yourself because you're constantly judging. When you're making a judgment, Jung says it as well, right? Whatever you see in somebody else is a reflection of what you are on the inside, or and the outside maybe. But whatever you see in you spot it, you got it. Whatever you see in somebody else is something you should probably be working on in yourself. So instead of looking at the other person, she, he, whoever they, them did wrong to me, Take look at yourself. Stop looking at the other person. What is my motive? Why did I show up? Why am I here? Why am I judging?
That's
Judging
true.
being a victim.
Yeah, while we have to distinguish the difference between judging in a negative sense, condemning someone, we overuse that term in our culture, and judging on a healthy way. In fact, that we all have to have this judgment in order to understand the
Observation? Like, you mean?
judgment, observation, and the critical factor in yourself in order to make a judgment in your life around you,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily condemning.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Now I'm
the,
following.
yeah, there is this difference between condemning, and somehow people don't use that word condemning. There's like
Mm,
that judging. You have to be able to judge to protect yourself and your family, for example, that you have to be able to judge in order to assess the situation critically, in order not to let other people also to violate your boundaries, right? There is a healthy
yeah.
understanding of judgment as a psychological concept, but condemning others in terms of judgment, that's what you spotted, you got it. For Pete's sake, all the time I think about it. Oh, there must be something in me there, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that is an
Very well
absolute the
said.
truth. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have to be honest with ourselves, not just with other people. If we're not honest with ourselves, how can we be honest with other people? We
That's right.
can't. We
No.
can't. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So when we come and talk about the procrastination, it doesn't mean that, oh, we're masters of not procrastinating. We are the masters of procrastinating at different times of our lives, right? But we try and we work on it. Actually, not to try, because saying that, oh, I will try, it sets yourself for failure
Mm-hmm.
already.
I'm doing it.
I'm
You have
doing it, and you have to
trying is
do
not
it
an
this
action.
moment.
I don't
It is
trying,
not.
it's not a true action. Doing is an action.
Exactly. When people say,
Take
"Oh, I'll do my best," or "You do your best," you don't do your best. You do it. You do
that's
it,
right.
and you do it. Period.
Like with love. Love is an action. It's not something you just can say. I can say I love you, I love you, love you, and treat you with no respect. But until I show you
Exactly.
respect, you would know that I don't have that true love for you. Here I am
Exactly.
procrastinating away from the
Oh no, it
the
is
truth.
not. So it is interesting. It's like to be a little bit of pregnant. You either pregnant or you're not, right?
Right. And if you make changes and positive changes in your life, your body and your mind will reward you. And that's just how people change. That's how we all change. Or we stay in the rut.
And
Get
that is
out
the
of it.
worst thing. That is the worst thing, to stay in the rut. And if you don't have motivation, then you will never get out of it. And motivation is what is also the meaning behind those actions that you're taking. Even if, like you mentioned, even if the something is very meaningful to you, but you are afraid of failure, it is so important to take that perfectionistic view out of it and just let go of the outcome. Let
Focus
go
on the
of the
process.
outcome.
That's right. Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Like Dr. Sherry and I were enjoying the ride, because if we thought about perfectionism, what we look like, what we say at all times, and whether we're doing the right thing or not, we would not be even starting doing anything.
No, we would hinder ourselves with self-limiting beliefs. That's right.
Yeah, let's speak in a psychological term. We would limit ourselves, self-defeating beliefs and stuff like that. Yeah,
Well,
so it's important to take the stance. It's important to be honest with yourself and take action. Put the one left or right foot forward and make that action.
even
You
if
know,
you have
some
to crawl, if you have
even
to
if you have to
roll,
crawl.
do it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Make a
sometimes.
change.
Exactly, exactly. Sometimes what we do, I don't even remember who said that. Sometimes if you can't run in your direction, you walk. If you
Yeah.
can't walk, you sit in that direction. If you can't sit, you lay
You
in that direction. If you can't even lay, I'm like, all right, I'm going to breathe in that direction,
That's
because sometimes it
fantastic.
gets so difficult to even do any action, accomplish any action. So at least you, or dream in that direction, at least.
Absolutely. It's been great sitting with you today. And thank you all for listening. Because as we conclude today, let's get ready for an exciting week ahead. We have an engaging episode lined up. Next week, we're going to be joined by Dr. Craig Johnson. We're going to explore liminal space. Whether you're a devoted Be Honest listener or just curious about the art of living in between, this episode is packed with thought provoking ideas about the fascinating realm between transitions that capture the essence of possibility and transformation. Don't miss out. Mark your calendars for next Friday, January 19th, at the same time in the same lovely place. Join us on United Public Radio 107.7 FM, and as we take a ride on the roller coaster of life. This is going to be an insightful and lively discussion you won't want to miss. Stay tuned. In the meantime, you can find us, Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry, at BeHonestPodcast.com. We enjoy sharing this journey with you, our valued listeners. As you continue going about your day or your night, remember to wear a smile and be honest.
Be honest now. Don't procrastinate.
Do it
Live
in the
in the
now.
moment. Do it
That's
now.
right.
Exactly. NOW. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Sherry, for this engaging conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be seeing you next week. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining. And we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.